My name is Mabel Rose Thompson, and I am 103 years old. Before I say another word, I want you to do one small thing for me. Put your hand flat on your belly. Go on. Nobody's watching. Feel it rise and fall. That soft, tired place in the middle of you that has carried you through every single day of your life, and that you have probably been quietly ashamed of for a long, long time now. Because I know something about you, even though we have never met and never will. I know that lately your body has felt like a house you're locked out of. I know that there are mornings you sit on the edge of the bed and it takes everything you have just to stand up. And I know there is a kind of trouble you don't talk about, not to your children, not to your friends at church, sometimes not even to your own doctor, the bathroom kind of trouble, the bloated, heavy, stopped up kind of trouble that makes you feel less like a person and more like a problem. I know because at 65 years old, I was certain my life was already over, and I had 38 more years coming that I could not even imagine. So if you are tired today, if your body feels like it's betraying you, if you have started to believe that this slow, swollen, exhausted feeling is just what getting old is supposed to be, then sit with me a while. I am not going to sell you a miracle. I'm 103. I'm long past lying to people. I'm just going to tell you the truth about what nearly broke me, what finally helped my body, and the one thing nobody, not my parents, not my doctors, ever told me about why some folks fall apart at 70 and others are still here at 103. Let me take you back. By noon, I felt like I'd been carrying sandbags. I blamed my age. I blamed my mattress. I blamed everything except the truth. And then there was the other thing, the thing I am only telling you now because I am too old to be embarrassed and because somebody needs to say it out loud for the rest of you who are suffering in silence. I was constipated, not for a day, not for a week. It became the shape of my whole life. Days would pass and nothing would move. My stomach would swell up tight and round and tender until my own clothes felt like a punishment. The pressure was constant. I felt poisoned by my own body, sluggish and foggy and sick. It got worse than that, and I'll spare you the worst of the details, but there is a word for what happened to me: impaction. The waste in my body had simply stopped moving and packed itself in tight, low and hard until I could not pass it on my own at all. Do you have any idea what that does to a proud woman? To sit in a doctor's office and have to explain that? To need help? Real physical help for something a toddler can do? I cried in my car in the parking lot afterward. I was 65 years old and I thought, this is the beginning of the end. This is how it goes now. It only gets smaller and more shameful from here. So I did what they tell you to do. Lord, did I try. I ate fiber until I rattled. I drank so much water I could have watered a garden. I took every laxative on the pharmacy shelf. And let me tell you, those bring their own kind of misery, and they never fixed a thing. They just whipped my body and left it more exhausted than before. I bought probiotics. I bought the powders. I went to a specialist who looked at me for 9 minutes and told me this was normal for my age and to keep doing exactly what wasn't working. Normal for my age. I have come to hate those 4 words more than almost any others in the English language. Because here is what I finally understood, and what took me far too long to learn. My problem was not that I was old. My problem was that my whole digestive system had slowed down to a crawl, and everything I was doing was treating the misery without ever helping the machine. Food was going in and just sitting there. My body had stopped doing the gentle daily work of moving things along and clearing itself out, the way it had done without a thought for 65 years. And nothing I swallowed was waking it back up. I was about to give up. I had made my peace with a small, sour, uncomfortable life. And then a neighbor of mine, a quiet woman from the old country, watched me wince getting out of a chair one afternoon and said something simple that changed everything. She said, "Mabel, you are starving the very part of you that does the cleaning." She was talking about fat, about oil, about the rich, real, healthy fats that my generation grew up on and that my generation had been scared away from for 30 years. She told me that the right oils, used the right way, were how she and her mother and her grandmother had kept things moving their whole long lives. I thought it was nonsense. I was wrong. And over the next few months, by trying and watching and listening to my own body, I learned which oils actually did something and which ones were a waste of my money and my hope. I am going to give you all 5, worst to best, exactly the way I'd tell my own daughter. Now hear me clearly before I do. I am not a doctor. I never was. These are not magic, and they are not a cure for anything. If you take blood thinners, if you have trouble with your gallbladder, if you've got real medical problems, you talk to your doctor before you change a single thing. Promise me that. This is the story of what gave my tired old body a fighting chance. It is not a prescription. All right, let me tell you about the oils. The 5th one, the one everybody raves about, is black seed oil. You've probably heard somebody swear it cures every ailment under the sun. And I'll be fair to it, there is something real in there. It's a traditional remedy that's been used for hundreds of years, and folks find it calming to an irritated, inflamed gut. It is not snake oil. But for my problem, for actually getting things moving again, it barely budged the needle. It was soothing. It did not stir. It was like putting a fresh coat of paint on a door that's stuck in its frame. The door's still stuck, and it is bitter as sin. So most folks take it in little capsules so tiny you'd have to swallow a fistful to match what does any good. If you want it, take a small spoonful with food in the morning so the fat in your meal helps it down. But don't you dare expect it to fix the real problem. For me, it earned a polite thank you and a low place on the list. Soothing, but not enough. The 4th oil is one almost nobody talks about anymore, and that's a shame: flaxseed oil. It had its moment of fame years ago, and then the world forgot it. But this one I have a soft spot for, because it was the first thing that gave me real relief. Your insides are supposed to be slick, smooth. Things are supposed to glide. When you're stopped up, everything's gone dry and gripping and stubborn. Flaxseed oil helped lubricate the works and calm the angry lining of my gut. And within a few days, just a few days, the cramping and the gurgling started to ease. It's gentle, it's cheap, a few dollars a bottle, a spoonful in the morning, never cooked with because heat ruins it, just poured over a little food or taken straight. It tastes mild and nutty, nothing to fear. The one caution I'll give you again is the blood thinner one, so ask your doctor first. The only reason it's not higher is that it eases the journey, but it doesn't really wake the engine up. Still, for the price and the comfort, it's a quiet little gem. The 3rd oil is the controversial one, MCT oil. The young fitness people put it in their coffee and made all kinds of wild claims about it, most of them silly. But the plain reason it earned its place for me is that it's unusually gentle and quick. Most fats sit and wait around in your stomach for a long while to be broken down. This one is a lighter, simpler kind of fat that moves through faster and gives you clean, steady energy without the heaviness. In the mornings, I felt most sluggish and weighed down. A little of this was like a window opening in a stuffy room. Here's my warning, and it matters. Start with the tiniest amount, a half spoonful, because if you take too much too soon, it'll send you running, and not in a good way. Build up slowly. It has almost no taste, so it hides in coffee or a smoothie just fine. Effective and light, but you've got to respect it and go easy. The 2nd oil, the one that surprised me most, is coconut oil. Pound for pound, it is one of the most powerful natural foods I put in my body during those hard years. Good virgin coconut oil, the real unprocessed kind that still smells like coconut, seemed to help break up the old stubbornness in my gut and got things sliding and moving in a way the laxatives never could without punishing me. I'd take a spoonful first thing in the morning and wait about half an hour before eating to let it do its quiet work before breakfast came along. Within a week, things felt more complete, less of that maddening sense that something's still stuck. The only catch is you've got to buy the right kind, the virgin cold-pressed kind. Most of what's on the grocery shelf is stripped and refined and far less useful. It takes a little label reading and a few more pennies, but it's worth it. Powerful, but you have to source it right. And now the first one, the best one, the oil my grandmother used, the oil that whole Mediterranean villages have lived long, vigorous lives on for thousands of years, extra virgin olive oil. If you only ever take one thing from this old woman, let it be this. Of everything I tried, real extra virgin olive oil did the most, and did it the most gently, and kept on working instead of giving me one quick jolt and quitting. A good spoonful or two on an empty stomach in the morning, that's the whole secret. It seemed to coax my whole system back into doing its job, steadily, hour after hour, the way a body is supposed to. Within a few days, the heaviness in my middle began to lift. Within a few weeks, I felt warm and clear and light in a way I had honestly forgotten was possible. My clothes fit, the pressure was gone. I felt like myself again for the first time since I was 64. Buy it in a dark glass bottle, look for a harvest date, and don't you settle for the cheap, light or blended kinds, because the good stuff that does the work has been stripped right out of those. A real bottle costs about the price of a couple of coffees and lasts a month. A warning, the same as always, if you've ever had gallstones or gallbladder trouble, ask your doctor first, because olive oil gets your gallbladder working. And some folks find their bowels loosen up the first few days. Don't panic over that. It settles. So there they are, black seed to soothe, flaxseed to lubricate, a little MCT for lightness, coconut to break up the old stubbornness, and good olive oil every single morning as the steady foundation under it all. That combination, along with patience and a little faith in my own body, gave me back my comfort, my dignity, and my mornings. But I promised you the truth, the whole truth, and now I have to tell you the part that matters most, because if I stopped here, I would be doing you the same disservice that was done to me. The oils helped my body. They did, but they are not the reason I am sitting here at 103 with my mind clear and my heart full. They are not my real secret, and it took me decades to understand what is. Here is what nobody told me, not my parents, not a single one of my doctors. What truly keeps a person's health and life from collapsing in old age is not money. It is not the perfect food. It is not even your good, strong legs, though Lord knows we all want to keep those. Your true pillar is your spirit. I know how that sounds coming from an old woman, soft, sentimental, but I mean something very real and very hard. Let me tell you a story I heard a long time ago that I have never been able to shake. They say that during a war in some grim place, there was a prisoner tied down and unable to move, and his captors decided to perform a cruel little experiment on him. They told him they were going to open the vein in his wrist and let him bleed until he died. They blindfolded him so he couldn't see. They made a tiny nick on his skin, barely a scratch, nothing that would harm a soul. And then they set a little water to dripping, drip, 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 where he could hear it, so that he would believe it was his own blood draining away, drop by drop. That man died. With hardly a wound on his body, he died, on schedule, exactly when he believed he should. His wrist had never truly bled at all. His body let go because his mind had already given the order. I have thought about that poor man for 50 years, because if a strong, healthy body can be brought down by nothing but a belief in its own ruin, then think, just think, what a mind that believes in living can do for a body. The spirit is not decoration. The spirit holds up the whole house. And so I have to tell you where my own strength of spirit truly comes from, because I would be a coward to leave it out. Many years ago, a dear friend of mine, the steadiest and most peaceful soul I have ever known, practiced something called Falun Dafa. I watched her move through the hardest losses life can hand a person, and she never grew bitter, never grew brittle, never collapsed inward the way I had seen grief and fear destroy so many others. So I asked her plainly, "What is your secret?" And she told me she tried every single day to live by 3 things: truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. I have tried to live by those same 3 things ever since, and they have been the deepest medicine of my long life. Truthfulness, which means I stopped lying to others and most of all to myself. I stopped pretending. There is a tremendous weight that lifts off your shoulders and out of your very gut when you simply stop carrying lies. Compassion, which means I refuse to let my heart turn hard, no matter how the world behaves. A kind heart is a healthy heart. I am convinced of it down to my bones. And forbearance, which is the hardest and the most precious of all. The patience to endure, to forgive, to let go of the resentment and the grudges that eat a person alive from the inside. I have watched anger and bitterness sour and shrink people far younger than me. I made a choice long ago to set those poisons down. I believe with my whole heart that choosing peace over poison every single day is a great part of why this old body has kept going. Living by truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance kept my spirit strong. And a strong spirit, I'm telling you, is what has kept this body of mine from collapsing. There is one more thing, and then I'll let you go. I have always made it my business to look for ways to help other people. Even now, even old as I am, a kind word, a casserole on a hard day, a little money slipped to someone who's struggling, this very conversation with you right now. And I will tell you a secret about helping others that the lonely never get to learn. It is not a sacrifice. It is the surest medicine there is. Every time I am useful to another soul, I am reminded that I still matter, that my life still has weight and worth and purpose. That feeling of purpose has done more for my body and my mind than any oil ever could. The people who shrink and fade fastest are so often the ones who decided they were no longer needed by anyone. So decide the opposite. Make yourself needed. Make yourself useful. It will keep you here. So that's everything, my friend, the whole truth from 103 years on this earth. Take care of your body. Feed it the real good fats your grandmother knew. Get yourself moving and comfortable again and reclaim your dignity, because you deserve to feel well in the time you have. But never ever forget that your body is only the house. Your spirit is what lives in it, and your spirit is what holds it up. Tell the truth, keep your heart soft, let your grudges go, and spend your days being useful to the people around you. Do that, and I believe you'll be surprised, the way I have been surprised, by just how much life is still waiting in you. I'm Mabel Rose Thompson. I'm 103 years old. And I'm so glad you sat with me today. Compassion is not a relationship between the healer and the wounded. It is a relationship between equals. Pema Chodron. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Dalai Lama. Compassion is the basis of morality. Arthur Schopenhauer. Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. Dalai Lama. A kind gesture can reach a wound that only compassion can heal. Steve Maraboli. Compassion is an action word with no boundaries. Prince. Until he extends the circle of his compassion to all living things, man will not himself find peace. Albert Schweitzer. Compassion brings us to a stop, and for a moment we rise above ourselves. Mason Cooley. True compassion means not only feeling another's pain, but also being moved to help relieve it. Daniel Goleman. The purpose of human life is to serve and to show compassion and the will to help others. Albert Schweitzer. Our task must be to free ourselves by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature and its beauty. Albert Einstein. Compassion is the greatest form of love humans have to offer. Rachel Joy Scott. Wisdom, compassion, and courage are the three universally recognized moral qualities of men. Confucius. Compassion is about giving all the love that you've got. Cheryl Strayed. Let our hearts be stretched out in compassion toward others, for for everyone is walking his or her own difficult path. Dieter F. Uchtdorf. There is no exercise better for the heart than reaching down and lifting people up. John Holmes. Compassion will cure more sins than condemnation. Henry Ward Beecher. Compassion is a verb. Thich Nhat Hanh.